Okay, today we're going to talk about the second way to find the particular solution. First way is variation parameters, which always works. Sometimes it can be a little tedious, especially if the integrals aren't very nice. Second method is undetermined coefficients. So please read chapter 2.5.2 in the text. And the idea here is to guess. It's an intelligent guess. There's a reason for your guess. But if you guess correctly, then your ODE becomes an algebraic system, which we've covered in the first 4 weeks of the semester, and that algebraic system is pretty easy to solve. There's going to be some assumptions that go into it. The first is that the A of t is actually just a constant, so that the homogeneous solution is just an exponential. The second assumption is that the function f of t is going to be some combination of exponential functions, polynomials, sines, and cosines. Really nice functions, easy to integrate if they happen to be involved, but nice to work with. And the idea behind the guessing is going to be the following. We're going to have an f of t that'll have a certain form, and then we're going to have a guess, which will also have a certain form. Okay, the f of t we'll suppose, let's say we start with an exponential. Let's say our guess, our f of t is something that is an exponential alone, e to the rt. Then our guess will also be an exponential, but we just won't know the coefficient in front of it, the constant in front of it. So we'll guess an a naught e to the rt. We might see a polynomial. So for example, suppose we see the polynomial 3 minus 2t. Well, it's a first order polynomial, and I'm going to guess a first order polynomial, but again, I don't know the coefficients. A naught plus a1t will do the trick. Or I might see a sine function. Say sine of bt, where b is the frequency. Well, if I see a sine, my response is also going to be sinusoidal, but I'm going to have both sines and cosines in there, but with the same frequency. So if I see a sine or a cosine, could be either one, and I'll guess that. And if I start taking combinations of these three, I'll take appropriate combinations for my guess. So for example, if I looked at t squared e to the minus 3t, then my guess would be a quadratic because of the t squared. I don't know the coefficients, times the same exponential. And if I saw a function that looked like e to the 2t cosine of 4t, then I would guess the same thing. But if I see a cosine, I would guess a cosine and a sine. So I would guess an a naught e to the 2t cosine of 4t and an a1 e to the 2t sine of 4t. So in both cases, I guess the exponent. In both cases, I see an exponential, I guess the exponential. I see a cosine, I guess both cosine and sine. And so these are the kinds of things we'll be looking at. In all the cases, you see these a naughts and a1s and maybe an a2 floating around. These are the undetermined coefficients, and this is what we're going to stick into the ODE, and the ODE will tell us what these guys have to be. And so that's what we'll talk about. We'll go through some examples in the next lecture.